Saying having trouble connecting. Not working. Oh, it is. Just there. It was made to feel like a defeat by the referee.
No. Charlie, I spoke to them.
Just bear with us one moment, please.
I'm going to get both.
We're just coming out away from the ground. I don't know what you heard from the start of the video, but for me, David, it was made to feel like a loss, wasn't it, by the referee? The penalty that was retracted was a poor decision for me. And then at the end, almost, it was still feeling very, very deflated by the draw, but almost felt like we were lucky, perhaps, to get away with it. Yeah. You know, being down to 10 men in the last few minutes, so really shaky and really nervous.
Spurs put on a lot of defenders, and you could see they were really struggling to deal with us in that second half, towards the end, before the red card. And that's credit.
They played for a point, didn't they, Spurs? Harry Kane offered absolutely nothing.
The Spurs came to kind of, I don't know, just consolidate kind of their position, a bit like kind of us today, like trying to build from the back and keep a clean sheet, and then see if we can get a result. And both teams just weren't unable to kind of break the deadlock.
I'm going to talk about the ref straight away. I thought absolutely disgraceful. You know, he let Reguilon get away with a concession of fouls, and the penalty for me. I mean, I've not seen it back again other than in the stadium, but it looks like Richarlison's taking the ball away from the goalie, and it wasn't an awful lot in it, but he's brought him down. That being said, if that wasn't a penalty, there was a foul in the build-up, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was a foul, and also Richarlison had the ball, so I think he could have turned and found the cross inside the box while the keeper was out. So really, he shouldn't have blown up till the phase of play was ended.
Right, okay, I'm just going to the comments because they're contrasting what I'm saying. Stevie's saying it wasn't quite a penalty. Okay, fair enough. It did look like a penalty, but
we were on the other side. So we saw the whole gate challenge. That was closest and didn't get the malice in the challenge there.
What I want to say, though, first and foremost is, okay, I'm annoyed about the refereeing decisions. Whether they're right or wrong, I think the guys watching on TV and watching our stream will know a little bit more. From our perspective, obviously being in the ground, it was very emotional. It looked like a very harsh red card. It looked like the referee was very, very poor. But I can't fault the commitment from Everton today. I felt like the commitment was there. The attitude was there. It wasn't so tactically inept as against Wolves. I think we recognised we needed the extra midfielder, and Andros played in there, and his job was to press the left-sided Spurs centre-back, Ben Davis. And I felt like it worked to a point. The problem was, and I don't know whether you agree with me, certainly in that first half, it felt like we were always playing that pass too slow. There was always space in behind the Spurs fullbacks, whether that was Reguilon or the Emerson Boyle, or what's his name, Susan Boyle. There was space in behind those positions, and I felt David come over here. I felt like we failed to capitalise on that. It was almost like we were taking an extra pass before delivering that through, a little bit too slow. And I felt like if we just could get our heads up and play that ball over the top and behind the Spurs fullbacks where there was the space, we would have exposed them. I felt the crossing, there wasn't much creativity. The crossing was quite poor from Everton today. You know, it was almost heading into areas rather than to individuals. And I'd say areas that were very heavily marshalled by Spurs. Now, Tottenham, they're shit. I'm going to be honest with you. I thought absolutely very little of them. Harry Kane, slow, sluggish. Eric Dyer, you know, we made him look quite good. And I think that was because there was a lack of bodies up front. Dave, can I ask you? Obviously, just the one striker, it left us short of really bodies up there to try and get up there.
On target did we have today? I can't remember any.
I don't think we tested Lloris. This is what I'm saying. Whilst we played well to a point, we didn't test the keeper.
I think what we did well was we pressed them as a team, as a unit, and we were aggressive, and we hunted in packs, and we actually kind of looked like we wanted to, get a result. What I wouldn't say is
the attitude was there.
Yeah.
No.
I don't know what the tactics were in terms of when we got the ball. As you said, we were a bit slow, and by the time we got a chance on the counter, they were in their back five position. So it was very difficult to penetrate them.
David, obviously without Calvert-Lewin, it's really quite hard to implement the same style of football that Rafa wants us to do, which is clearly a crossing style. Do you think the extra body, maybe Cenk Tosun or even Solomon Rondon up there would have helped?
I would have liked to have seen Cenk give him 10 minutes.
But who does he come on for?
Maybe Gordon, he was tiring out. Townsend could have gone to right mid.
Guys, I'm just getting into David's car. So we're going to continue the stream. I want comments coming through. I'm going to come to as many as I can. I've got Andrew Mabs. Andy saying, why did we play like that against Watford? That's a really good point.
No idea.
Why does it take a so-called rival, to come to Goodison Park for us to raise our game? Today we showed an appetite to press off the ball, a level of aggression that I think is your demand from an Everton shirt, and the players were playing for each other today, weren't they? It wasn't like they were all a group of individuals, and I just think we just lacked that little bit of final end product, maybe that extra body up top, and it was very much a reliance on Damari Gray to try and create something.
I just thought when we got the ball, especially in the first half, we had a bit of purpose in terms of the tempo. However, when we got to the final third, I just wasn't sure what the tactics were in terms of method of scoring. Like, we weren't crossing it really, and when we were, it was aimless crosses.
There were some things we did really well though, David, wasn't it? We managed to stop them getting a lot of set pieces, a lot of corners.
We only got 2 corners.
They didn't have a corner in the first half. For me, I think that was really important.
And we switched to man-to-man marking.
Yeah, the corners we did have, the man-to-man marking was a little bit scary.
Slightly shaky.
I think there was a few marking the zone and then a few marking man-to-man. Obviously, the problem with that is, and let me know if you agree, it does take Michael Keane out the equation, really, when he's just fixated on one man.
Michael Keane was one of the man markers. I think actually the ones in the zone were actually our smaller players for some reason, which was unusual.
Richarlison and, just for me, the man marking, taking Michael Keane out and having him dedicated to marking Eric Dyer really does leave us a little bit vulnerable in some of the other spaces. So I'm not sure whether that is the way forward. Obviously, now we're still without Yerry Mina with a very mysterious injury, and don't get me started on that because I'm infuriated by how he's gone away on international duty, played 390 minutes, and not been seen since. Also, the comments. I'm just looking now. Keep them coming in. Dave Weston, hi Dave. Hope you enjoyed the game. He said Holgate couldn't do anything there. His clearance was good because he whacked the ball the way he did. He couldn't stop the momentum. I just felt like that was a very, very harsh challenge. They showed the replay on the big screen. He did obviously catch the Spurs player, but at what point do you draw the line and say there's not an intention there to hurt the Spurs player? He's just showing some aggression. Don't get me wrong. I thought Holgate was poor when he came on. He was making bad decisions. He was giving the ball away. It's not his position. And what does that say, Dave, about the fact that Gbamin can't get on ahead of Holgate in midfield?
Well, in hindsight, I think he'll be thinking he should have put Gbamin on.
Gbamin's very passive, isn't he?
I knew he's very passive. Holgate was the opposite. They both out of position when I've seen them play there the last 2 games. So, I don't know what to say. I mean, Gbamin's
we're signing players who've got no aggression.
Gbamin hasn't got the confidence at the moment.
Yeah.
You have to build that up.
Mabsy agrees. He said it. How is that already got the ball? Stevie saying the red was silly. It was a yellow. The follow through slow-mo looked worse than the real time. Of course. Well, if he's watching it back on VAR, it's going to look a lot worse.
I didn't think it was dangerous the first time, and then
no, he had the game. He bowled it because he was having the ref. The ref was being re-refed by the VAR the whole game. He wasn't allowed to express his own.
I know. He gave the penalty. He overturned it. He gave a yellow and he gave a red.
Yeah, he was getting VAR, the referee. It's infuriating when the referee isn't allowed to make his own decisions. If he's got someone in his ear saying, you should look at that, it's possibly a red. But I suppose that is modern football now. Will Lewis, hi Will, he's saying it's a clear pen. No doubt. Will saying it was a red. Okay. So lots of different opinions. Keep them coming in. Will, tell me why that's a red card. Do you think that was reckless and over the top, or do you think it was just unlucky? I've got a feeling Everton will appeal that. Although it didn't look like Rafa was too bothered. He didn't have a go at the ref at the end. He just went over and shook his hand. Will saying Holgate was absolutely shite. Kevin, hiya Kev, he's saying much better for us. Entertaining game. It was entertaining. Everton were good up to a point. The commitment, the aggression, the mentality was spot on. I just think we would have had to sacrifice one of the midfielders in order to get an extra body up there, and that might have left us a bit exposed. So we had our limits, didn't we? We really did have our limits on where we could go today. Holgate was a liability from the moment he came on.
Once Delph
gone off. I felt like that. We'll come on. We'll talk about that in a moment. Jasmine saying shit first half. Second was a bit better with some pressure. Holgate was only on for about 2 minutes. I'm so over it. Thanks, Jazz. And Will saying for me, lads, he follows through with studs up and caught him very high. Was poor from Holgate. Okay, fair enough. And I think Holgate has been accused of being reckless and a bit brainless and a bit behind the play. And I probably a little bit of frustration from not being involved in so many games.
Could be he hasn't had much of a kick this season, has he?
I want to talk about a few things now. Fabian Delph came into the side today. I think it was his first start of the season. He was very good against Watford off the bench. And I think for me, he epitomised everything he was at Man City. He kept things ticking along. He's proactive. And for me, a lot of the midfielders who've played for Everton, certainly like your Gomez and your Davis, they're very reactionary in there. And I think Delph is quite proactive, isn't he, with his interceptions and his reading of the game.
He's been trained by Pep Guardiola and he's won the title with City. He can read the game. He can pick a pass. That's one thing the other midfielders are not willing to do is get on the ball, distribute a pass, and he does it.
He does. He drops into midfield.
He looks for it. He's not afraid to receive the ball.
He's not scared, Fabian Delph, and a lot of Everton players are scared. You look at someone like Tom Davis. He doesn't drop in and get the ball. Obviously, he's probably not been told to do that, but none of them really want the ball. And for me, Delph today, he was man of the match in the time he was on. But I also want to give some shout outs to some other players.
Michael Keane.
Obviously, the first half, we didn't really create anything. I think Ben Godfrey had a shot where he really should have hit it harder, and a couple of headers, but there really wasn't an awful lot of end product. What I would say, perhaps, defensively, the shape was a lot better. Do you think the Townsend in midfield worked? Having him in there?
I think that did work. I mean, that could have been a failed experiment, but it's probably something they've been working on this week. And I think he played that position quite well. He seemed to just pop up and get that little aggression, little interceptions at times you just didn't expect him to appear. So I think he was reading the play quite well. What it does take away from him is, his ability to be on the right and get a crossing.
That is a shame. But there's no one in there anyway.
I don't think Gordon had his best game out there.
No, he didn't.
Obviously, anyone who's playing on the wing against this system that Spurs were playing or Wolves were playing. They've got to beat 2 men to get a clear run.
David, great comment. To be honest, I think though it was quite a non-event. I think you said to me at half time it was going to end up 0-0, didn't you? And I was like, yeah, this has got 0-0 written all over it, but I wouldn't want to bet on it because I don't want a 0-0.
I just got the sense that if anyone was going to score, it would have been a counter attack or a thing on the edge of the box with a small man for Spurs, and they would just.
But that's what we said before, was that we didn't
like
release
West
the ball.
Ham game.
We didn't release the ball quick enough at times and expose them on the counter. We were too slow in the transition. I know there's 25 of you watching on Facebook and YouTube and a few on Twitter, so thanks for joining us on the stream. If you're new, this is Follow Everton. I'm Ryan, and this is my brother Basil, and there's a few of us on the channel, so please hit the subscribe button if you're on YouTube, and everywhere else you can like and share. I've got Blue Nose KD Dublin. Hi, mate. He says, take the point today. We will improve with key players back. Holgate going backwards. Yeah, I have to agree with that. He must improve with game time, but Mina straight back in. Stay positive, Blues. And what I would say to you, thanks for your comment, hit that subscribe button for me, is why has Holgate regressed? Was he ever at that levels, or do you think we just overhyped him? Because I see a defender who was always a little bit... He would drop behind the line of the rest of them, and he struggled, I felt, at times, and, bypassed really easily. And it's such a shame. We were talking about him as potentially captain material, but has he really regressed, or was he never at those levels? Will's also saying we're really missing the spine of this team once Mina, Decore and Dom are back. We're vastly improved. Spot on. But Will, football is a squad game, and you're going to have injuries. And unfortunately, the injuries when it comes to Everton players, you're bringing in inadequate replacements. I feel like if we have those three in the team, I've got no doubt we beat Spurs today comfortably. I've got no doubt we win against Watford, and I've got no doubt we pick up at least a point against West Ham and Wolves. So that's the infuriating thing, that this season is almost sort of we're almost a third of the way through. I think we've played 11 or 12 games, and we haven't really got to grips. I think we're on 15 points now. So,
unfortunately, the Wolves game, by the time we'd realised what was wrong with the systems, them playing the back three and us playing the narrow system, it was already 2-0 down. It was half time, so that game was done.
Yeah.
But at least he implemented it in today. But there's 2 games with it. When you got 1 point, then you include Watford and West Ham. You got 1 point out of the 4. Which is a set of 4 games between international breaks. It's not good enough.
Look, no, I know. Don't get me wrong. It's not enough points. It really isn't enough points because we lost to Villa, who haven't won since. I've now sacked the manager. We dropped points away at Leeds when arguably we should have won. And then defeats at Watford, Wolves, West Ham.
I mean, this is a different animal, this game, if Calvert-Lewin's up front with Richarlison.
Yeah, for sure. He outplays Dyer for me.
We didn't actually miss Decore as much today because of the 3-man midfield, but we did miss Calvert-Lewin. We didn't miss Mina as much because the actual 2 defenders were concentrated.
Yeah, the intensity was there.
They knew they had their man. They knew they had Son and Kane. So there was no complicated, mix of players interchanging. They just followed the man, and they got the better of them for quite a lot of it.
Yeah. Dave saying man of the match, Delph, which speaks volumes. Hit the thumbs up for me, Dave. I agree. I think he was exemplary in there, and he got a standing ovation from the crowd when he came off. So fair play to him. And yeah, if Decore is back, does that bring? Of course, it brings competition and less reliance on Decore. Do you think it presents another option, maybe of bringing Decore in alongside Delph or Alan as maybe a 3, or do you think he's still going to be just an option off the bench?
I don't know what happens because I think Alan doesn't really want to play that role that Delph played today. If he could choose,
I thought he was a defensive midfielder.
I think he wants to play just regular sort of centre mid,
number 8 rather than a 6. But we need the 2. I think we're so much better with the 2 strikers, 2 wingers, 2 midfielders. So there's going to be tough.
If Delph and Decore played, I mean, it could work. It could. Maybe you stick with the 3-man field. It depends.
That might be the perfect blend, really. Because if Delph wants to drop in, YouTube Morty, hi mate. Please hit the subscribe button. He says it's not a penalty and it's a red for Holgate. Okay, fair enough. Best chances were for Spurs. Yeah, fair enough.
We saw that. Yeah,
Lucky with a point. End of. Okay. I mean, I think the reason we're okay. Obviously, we're wound up a bit, but we're okay with it because
the chances we gave away were
it wasn't
more like flash of the pan, sort of against the run of play. So you know, we take a bit of I don't know. We take a bit of positive out of the fact that we kind of had them under the ropes quite a lot of the game. You know, the crowd were helping with that. We kind of penned them back. You know, their back five, their back three was a back five for a lot of the game because we were pressing on top of them. The disappointing thing today is that we didn't really test the keeper.
We were kind of crowded out, weren't we, in the opportunities? And we were never playing that ball early enough in behind their full-backs to play to be one-on-one.
Like for the penalty shout.
There was a few small opportunities. Tom D says, all the officials are a disgrace in the Premier League unless you support Man U. Thanks for the comment, Tom. Hit the like and subscribe button. Thank you very much.
It's every game we come away now that we're saying the officials were rubbish.
I'd say if you're a Liverpool player or a Liverpool fan, you I mean, did you see the Atletico games? In both games, Atletico got a man sent off and had all these penalty decisions. This is what I was told. It's just typical. Unless you're Liverpool, then you're not getting anything. Will saying the squad is wank. One thing I'd say, Will, is if all these players were playing for their international teams, what kind of performances would they be putting in? You know, you've got a France left back, you've got Irish right back, you've got England's number one. There can't be excuses, really. I thought Michael Keane played well today. I know some people will argue against that, but I thought he dealt with Kane really well. He read things, his interceptions were good, his distribution was good. Ben Godfrey also using his pace and reading the game really well. So I'm happy with the back line. Luca as well, he was a lot more committed, a lot more alert. He made good decisions. The only real worry was perhaps at the start of the second half when Reguilon was on the left on his own the whole time and Gordon was being pinned back and Coleman didn't know whether to go with Son, who was drifting in to his channel, or Reguilon. But Coleman's it was good to see us with that.
Coleman's distribution today was pretty poor.
You weren't happy, were you?
Every time he got the ball, I sensed that he was going to just punt it long, which is just pointless exercise.
There was a lot of that, and it was just trying to get out. I'm also going to give credit to the crowd today as well. I felt like it was a much more positive Everton atmosphere, more singing behind the team. It was better. So credit to the fans today. YouTube Morty says harsh red, knee high, studs up. Yeah. And the keeper got a hand to the ball. This is coming from an Everton fan. We were better today, but not good enough. They had the better changes. So what do you put that down to? How do we improve, Morty? How can we reach the next level? Is it a case of just bringing those players back from injury, or do you think there's things we can do tactically to get a bit more of an end product? I've got a comment from Mark. Hiya, Mark. Welcome to the channel. If you're new and you haven't already subscribed, please hit the subscribe button for us and support us. He's saying the lads were much better today. It was nice to see our midfield not overrun. Completely agree. Delph was decent, very neat and tidy play. Good comment. Being overrun, obviously, you know, we had more of the ball today than we've had in previous games.
You know, stats.
Well, it just felt like I haven't seen the stats. If anyone could share that,
I think Spurs are poor, aren't they?
It felt like we were better on the ball when we had the ball. We didn't give the ball away so cheaply, and we were really competitive, you know, for the challenges and for the loose balls. It wasn't such a pushover as it had been. Blue Nose KD Dublin, hi again. He's saying DCL, Mina, Pastore back will beat teams. 40 points still a long way off. Confidence is underrated. Yeah, I think there are quite a few Everton players really short of confidence in there.
Yeah, most of the midfielders, Davies, Gabamon, Iwobi, Tosin. Well done.
Thanks for the great comment. It's an international break now, so 2 weeks without Everton potentially ruining the weekend. A good opportunity to work on a few things at the training ground. What would you like to see Everton work on? Is it more of the set pieces? Is it?
Yeah, we've got to look at with set pieces. Look at attacking set pieces as much as defending, because we haven't looked like scoring off one this season.
The delivery hasn't been as good though. I mean, we had James taking them and Sigurdsson taking them last season.
It's not been as good, has it?
The delivery isn't as good.
I mean, it's now November. Where is this court case? I mean, even if he wins the court case, will he ever play for us again? It's
a bit hard. I mean, obviously we don't know anything about it, but it's a bit harsh because if he wins the court case and he's found not guilty, he's had his career ripped up for something he hasn't done, and sue the police. But yeah, we'll leave it there. Will Lewis crossing today was horrible. Yeah, I thought it was really poor. And there's an over-reliance on Damari Gray, isn't there, on the left to try and create something. Gordon wasn't at his best today going forward. I felt like he was a little bit scared of his opposition number. He didn't kind of take him on. I think there's more to come from him, but it was pleasing to see. He got the full 90 minutes, didn't he, in the end?
He did, yeah. I want to see Mina and where's Gomez? What's the injuries with these players? Mina's a hamstring.
He's got a calf injury, Gomez, hasn't he? But
it's just every week. It just seems like you think they're going to be back, and
there's just no clarity. It would be nice to know where Andre Gomez is and where Mina is. Or how long for Calvert-Lewin? I do think Calvert-Lewin and Decore are going to be back for the next big game against City. They might not be risked.
I don't know if Calvert-Lewin will play for that.
They might not be risked. Listen, guys, thank you very much for watching. Just going to go to the final comments. Dave, you've also got anything else you wanted to say?
No, it's just much better mentally performance today, which I'm pleased about.
But is it a case of you
stopping the rot, isn't it, of losing?
Is that all it is, though, David? I mean, talking about being so bad that you're happy with.
I feel like we should be winning that game with the way it went, but just seem to find a way to win. I mean, it was similar again. West Ham had more of the game when we played them, but we could have won that game. We don't seem to be able to find a way to just grind out a win at the moment.
Losing the lack of set piece, going forward, you talk about it. We scored a lot of goals from set pieces last season. If you're taking that side of your game out, that's a hell of a lot of goals. And you're losing your Sigurdsson and your Sigurdsson and Andre Gomez, and the James from midfield who chip in with goals, shots from distance. So you've lost a few sources of goals. And for Gray and Townsend, it's dried up a little bit because I think there's an over-reliance on them and that doesn't help. Teams are kind of sussing them out a little bit and marking, double them up on them. We do obviously need Calvert-Lewin back so desperately. I think Everton will be a different proposition with him. It's just a shame we haven't had him for these games where we've really just needed that number 9 to finish things off and to inspire. I think having him up there motivates players because they know they've got someone at the top end of the pitch. Mr. Dublin saying zonal marking to stop over international break plus moving forward. I'm going to be honest. I want to just see a combination of zonal and man mark. I don't want to see one or the other. I want it to be like last season when we were under Ancelotti. I think the players should be asked what they were more comfortable defending with, at the end of the day. And it does appear like that last season we were solid from set pieces. Why have we ripped up? Why are we doing something different? Is it personnel or has Rafa changed the tactics? Thanks for your great comment. Much appreciated. And Morty saying we have been dross. Today was a lot better. And I agree. I think that's why David's kind of happy coming out with the point because we haven't beaten Spurs at home since 2012. We need to beat them. They've just changed the manager. They've been so poor. They lost to United, who everyone's beating. So it is a disappointment, but at the same time, we didn't create anything. Points probably a fair result. We move on. And we need Delph to sign a 15-year contract. That's fantastic. I think it'd be about 46 by the time he leaves then. Right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Shouts out to Mabsy, Stevie, Mr. Dave Weston, Will Lewis, Kevin Bracey for watching as always. Jasmine, I hope you enjoyed the game. Blue Nose Dublin, Tom D, Will Lewis, Mark Ramsey, and Morty. Thank you so much, guys. Help us out here and help boost some subscribers for us. We know we deserve more than we're trying to get 400 subs. We know we should be having more because we're no worse than any of the other Everton channels, I'm sure. So hit that subscribe button for us. Share, show your friends. We'll be back. Hopefully, maybe we'll do a little season so far review after, during the international break. But then you'll see us before the Man City fixture to preview that. and we'll give you a reaction after that as always. You can find us on social media, search for @FollowEverton, and also on Facebook @FollowEverton, but most importantly here on YouTube, Follow Everton. I think you get the picture. I'm Ryan. That's David /Basil, and we'll see you soon. Thank you very much. Take care.